the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Real quick, before we get started, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend the district's condolences to the family of Mr. Robertson. All right. Okay, it looks like we need closed session here. Sorry, I'm in trouble. We got the closed session minutes 2-5. What's that?
It's approval of the agenda.
Yeah, need a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, were there any action items from closed session? I don't believe there were tonight.
Yes.
What do we have?
The closed session minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did it backwards and I was already. So I need a motion to approve the closed session minutes from
July 25th,
July 25th.
2018, and August 1st, 2008.
Second?
I'll second.
Ashley?
Phipps?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Worley? Yes. Bryant?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes. All right, 4, communications. 4.1, got some good news for the school challenge award.
So our 3 elementary schools, we applied for the Healthier U.S. School Challenge, which requires additional things be done above and beyond what the National School Lunch Program requires. And all 3 elementary schools, Ball Elementary, Chatham Elementary, and Glenwood Elementary, all received the awards. So we're lucky enough to have staff here tonight. So from Ball Elementary, we got Mona. Mona's our newest manager and kind of jumped in at the middle of the year, so for her to come in and do a fantastic job right from the start, we really appreciate it.
Chad.
From Chatham Elementary, we have Donnell. And then last but not least, Glenwood Elementary. Linda's the manager out there, and we've got Susan, Cindy, and Vicki. Come on up. And I do want to say one more thing real quick here. A while back, we had talked about that we had passed our admin review with flying colors, and Chatham Elementary wasn't here for that, so they're here now. So they did a fantastic job. They represented the district really well. The State Board of Education was fantastic. Was really happy with how it came out. So appreciate all the work you guys do.
CES personnel in here sometimes.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, appreciate it.
Colleen?
I know, but you were so busy.
About me?
Good seeing you, my love.
All righty. 4.2, Director of Communications Annual Report.
There you go, you guys take care.
report, and it's mostly a bunch of numbers, and I know that a lot of you like to see the statistics, the analytics, and the numbers, but really what I do is more about storytelling, and it's funny because ISBE, I'm on their web, I guess I get their emails, and they're looking for a chief storyteller, and I think to myself, the chief storyteller, I guess that's what I am. I'm director of communications, but really, that gives me too much credit because we're all chief storytellers. Anytime a child comes home and tells you about what they did in class, they're the storyteller. So even though I'm charged with it, we all, I think, do it. And everything that we do, anything positive that's going on in our rooms, in our buildings, we need to, talk about that and put that out there as much as possible. So let's get started. Hold on here. So the board goal, number 9, is that the district will aggressively seek broad-based two-way communication through a variety of methods in order to connect with and engage the community. Yes, absolutely, we do that, and I think more this past year than ever, through multiple different channels. So as I go through here, you'll kind of see how it is that we try to meet that goal. And I think we're making some big strides. I think we saw a lot of growth in communication in different ways this past year. So let's look into that. We've had a complete refresh of our district websites. And some of the new things that I'm able to do with the district websites is that our principals can be bloggers on their own page, so that when you see the news stories that you see up there, they will have the ability to post photo galleries, news, whatever they like. And so it isn't just me putting the news up there, which is the way it's been done before, really, but they're able to help me out, which is great because I am a one-man show, one-woman show. But it turns out we have a $323 a year price tag for the Wix sites, plus it gives us Google Analytics, which is really helpful to us. We had 64 district news articles that were written and posted from 2018-19, and school news updates on all 6 school sites averaged 84 articles per school last year. Our average is 13,300 monthly users, and in SY 18-19 there were almost 250,000 page views. The highest page view was August 8th, 2018, which is probably a rollout to the beginning of school. So another way we communicate, and we've done a lot more with this with social media. We've developed our implemented our new Instagram site. I have like 311 followers now, which is funny because I have almost 4,000 on Facebook, but we just rolled it out last month, so we're getting the word out that we're on Instagram as well. And then Facebook, of course, and Twitter, and LinkedIn, and YouTube. So, to look at the numbers, Facebook, we had 430 posts last year, we have 4,049 page followers and 3,914 page likes. It's an 18% increase over last year. So Twitter, 138 organic posts, that doesn't include the retweets. I have 17,026 followers, which is a 12.2% increase over this time last year. Now, when I did this, we still only had 267 followers, but now I'm up to 311 on Instagram and 114 on LinkedIn. Most of the LinkedIn work that we did last year was about recruitment. We're doing much more with LinkedIn now. Not only recruitment, but innovative education practices and highlighting our staff as well. We also communicate through email, phone, and text. Skylert is my preferred choice as school messenger. We had 94 broadcasts last year with a 91.6 delivered rate. The email open rate for e-bulletin, which is the way I send our newsletters, it was at 52.5%. Education standard is 21.66%, and even MailChimp and a few other say actually it's a little less than that. Email open rate for emergency messages was at 75%. So you'd think it'd be 100%, but actually people do have the choice to block us, and they do. So it was only 75%. So the school newsletters, as you can see, picture there of all the different school newsletters that I produced along with the e-bulletin, and we started last year doing an HR newsletter. So as a way for internal communications, not just external. So 36 school newsletters with 70 bulletins. Those are emailed out, but they're also cross-promoted with social media and on our websites. I also work pretty extensively with the local media. It's a little down last year than the previous year, but the SJR didn't have a dedicated reporter at the time. So we're looking at 22 different stories from WICS, 7 from the State Journal Register, and 4 from WMAND. And those are the topics that they would come out and talk about. Also, I lend creative support to different entities like Titan Fuel, like the foundation, even different departments that might need a graphic support. So, and that's really fun for me. I really love to do that. But it does take a bit of time. And lastly is FOIA administration, and that's a really fun part of my job. Last year, we had 24 FOIAs. It's pretty much in line with the previous year, which was 25. It took me last year about 18.5 hours to respond to those FOIAs, and other staff members 12.75 hours. Compared to back in 2013 when I had 58 FOIAs, this is an improvement. So anyway, so plans going forward. What do I have planned for the coming year? Well, I would always like to hire more people. Okay, but that's probably not going to happen. So what I'd like to do is have more input from the classroom, continue to promote the great things. I have teachers emailing me or texting me different pictures of what's going on in their rooms, and I just love that because I can cross-promote, I can put it on websites and social media and everywhere. I want to also increase our use of LinkedIn and education trade magazines, maybe do some human interest stories to send off to those magazines. Hopefully they would pick it up and run it. I always want to position our staff as authorities in the area of education, so anytime I have a chance to do it, I want to do it. I need to continue to work toward the barrier-free web experience, in other words, ADA web compliance. I want to create a social media campaign around our Hall of Fame inductees this year around the homecoming. And also, if the board desires, maybe create an advisory committee to review ways that two-way communication between the board and our community can be augmented. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I wanted to let you know about social media, one last thing on Facebook. I can kind of go through here. Facebook used to not allow us to join into any groups and make comments unless it was you yourself, your personal self. Betsy Schroeder is saying this. Well, maybe not everybody knows who I am. So I would go on Chatham Central to maybe clarify something or add something, but it would be from Betsy Schroeder. That's all changed in the last month, which is great, because now I can interact as the Ball-Chatham School District. So, and it even gives you a choice. Are you interacting as Betsy Schroeder, or are you interacting as Ball-Chatham School District, or Titan Fuel, or any of the other pages I run? So, that is something that, so I've joined like the Chatham Parent Action Committee Facebook group, or Chatham Central, or any of those that we can now actually directly respond, and it isn't just coming from me, the public may not know who I am. So, I just want to let you know that. Are there any questions?
I was just gonna add to that a little bit, a lot of what Betsy does, and I know Josh plays a role in this too, are compliance issues, in regards, and that takes up quite a bit of time, because every time you put something new to share, you have to make sure it's compliant. If it's not compliant, then you have to make it compliant. There's a long process to that, so there's also a lot behind the scenes stuff that you do, and I just want to thank you for that.
Yep, it takes time. All the policies have to be converted from PDFs, all the board minutes. It just takes a lot of time. But we're working for it, so.
You guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Do we do anything maybe to help you a little with the workload and also to get the students involved and maybe helping you develop media stories and things like that?
Funny you should have mentioned that, because in meeting with our principals, I know we've had a few principals who've expressed an interest in students helping with newsletters or a blog of their own. I mean, it's sort of, Absolutely. I mean, I even had a student say, well, you email out the bulletin. Actually, the student was my son. I'll just. You email out the bulletin to all the parents, but I want to know what's happening too. I'd like to read the Glenwood Middle School news. I'd like to see it. You know, so those ideas, well, maybe we do send it to the students as well. So, I mean, one more way, one more layer that they can get the information. They hear about it, I'm sure, at school and in the announcements and all that, but this is just one more way. Not everybody receives news the same way. And it's funny too with School Messenger, because we say we email out all this information and people are like, I never received it, I didn't get it. Well, what's great with School Messenger is I can go in and see their emails, I can see when they opened it, the day and the time, that in fact they did it. You know, or if it didn't happen, then we need to go and look and see why. What is wrong in Skyward, because School Messenger pulls every 24 hours from Skyward. If there's some glitch, we need to fix it. So.
I think it would be really cool. I mean, it helps them develop writing skills, it's marketing skills, it's graphic design skills.
You bet. You bet. I'm all for it.
Website is really good now.
Right, I think the website is great,
Thank you.
so thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? All right.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, 4.3, citizens' opportunity to address the school board concerning any agenda topic. Any agenda topic. Any takers? Seeing none, moving on to 5, consent agenda items. Does anyone wish to pull any of these? I would like to pull 5.4 and 5.5. Anyone else wish to pull any items? Okay. I need a motion to approve 5.1 through 5.3 and 5.6 through 5.12.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Ashley?
Jirash?
Yes.
Phipps?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Bryant?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes. All right, I pulled 5.4 and 5.5 just to give any board members the opportunity to speak on behalf of either of those committees. Any just high-level comments or thoughts?
Did you want to say something, Steve? No. Okay.
Yeah, I was, are
Yeah,
you
okay.
covering finance or?
No, I'm just letting 5.4 minutes of facilities and grounds.
Yeah,
committee go first.
Kyle, go ahead.
Yeah.
So, the parking lot at GIS looks great. It was replaced. There was an issue that arose about the band room. There was some mold that had been detected, but the district had jumped right on it and replaced any carpet that was collecting moisture, and that was replaced with tile. And so we think that going forward, that's going to be no longer be an issue. We've talked a little about getting cameras at the GHS parking lot. I have to say that I was at the school yesterday, and I was driving in the parking lot, and there was a kid with a police officer taking a photo of a bumper that was hanging off. So apparently there was another incident. I just happened to see it myself. So I know that Mike is working on evaluating some, or collecting some proposals on getting some security cameras in place so that we can avoid hit and runs. Anything else, Steve?
I just want to thank Mike, your team, and I know Gina as well, just for the expediency of dealing with that issue and making arrangements to work where they have a place. And I also know that we're looking at sound barriers or whatever, because one of the things that carpet does do is absorb sound. So we're looking at ways to improve that. But it is complete, correct?
They'll be waxing tonight in the morning. We should be ready to move back in.
Thanks.
Oh, and I should add, the steam room looks great.
Oh, yeah.
fantastic, really cool. Not all the equipment's in there yet, but it's very simple. Big display screens, TVs, it's looking real sharp.
Okay. Susan, finance?
I agree. I could see the steam room, it was looking really good. So, and I know that Liz and Jen and Mr. Gowan, is that?
Gowan, Mr. Gowan.
Yeah, and, anyways, there was a lot of collaboration and it's great. So, I just wanted to give a quick summary of the finance committee meeting, and that was way back in July. I think the best way to summarize the minutes is to basically say that Charlotte will be giving her formal presentation tonight on, it's sort of a draft discussion at the committee level, but her formal presentation will occur shortly on the agenda, so that's what I would like to say. So I'll pay attention because it's a good report, so that's what I have to say on that.
Thank you, Susan. I need a motion to approve 5-4 and 5-5.
So moved.
Second.
Action.
Maddox?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Pitts?
Yes.
Bryant?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes. All right, section 6, personnel consent items. Does anyone wish to pull any of those?
Yes, I'd like to pull 6.15.
Does anyone else wish to pull any? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve 6.1 through 6.14 and 6.16 through 6.33.
So moved.
Action.
Bryant?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Pitts?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes. All right, Susan?
Okay, well, I just pulled employment of full-time GMS special education teachers to permit me to ask some questions where we are as far as special education, the special education program. I looked at the website right before the meeting started, and basically, I need to ask you, Dr. Wood, and/or Maggie. Okay, basically, this is a very tough area, and I understand that regarding, full staffing. But how is the district addressing some of these issues? One, that there is 5.5 paras, positions that are still open, and it's compounded by the fact that now paras need 60 credit hours. And that,
It's not making it any easier.
and that just occurred like August 9th. So fortunately, all these people that were hired got under that wire, correct? So that's my first question. It's very difficult. And then the credentialing has made it more difficult. The second thing is, it appears that there is a special ed administrative position that's still open, is that correct? And, let's see, is there a special education teacher position still open?
Correct, and we have a sub right now filling that position.
No, where was it? I can't remember. Okay, the high school, that's right, that's right. So, and then I know that it was, we were short speech pathologists, and so the district is obligated to, contract out with outside speech pathologist / consulting firm to address those needs. So that has been taken care of. So even though there are 3 vacant speech pathologist positions, in essence, 2 of those have been filled by the contract servicing, is that correct, Maggie?
In the process. Yes.
And then what about the 3rd vacancy?
We have not had any takers yet, anybody.
So does that mean that we would increase the outside contracting services?
Possibly. We're also looking at speech therapy assistants. I've had been contacted the ROE, kind of what our options are at this point.
Okay,
I've also contacted universities to see if there's any graduates as well as student teachers, like for their speech pathology externships.
good, okay. Well, I mean, it's a very problematic, industry-wide, and I'm going to more importantly say district-wide, and so, we have to go forth.
It is, it's challenging, and, you know, just in the past, I think, 3 weeks, and this is just on one site. ISA is a site that lists education jobs. And, I think within the last 3 weeks, they have, posted over, somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 teaching positions in the state of Illinois. And of those 300, 100 of those were special education positions. And it was interesting, I was having some dialogue with, we have a group of superintendents that we speak with, and someone was asking to share some interview questions, because he's conducting their interviews. And one of the superintendents shot back, he shot back 3 questions, of course, jokingly, but he said, do they have a pulse? What he was saying is that essentially it is anemic out there. It's very, very difficult. And we're doing all we can. I know through HR, we even went a step to involve the ROE to send out a blast to those who are licensed in areas, and which is wonderful, but it does also send to those who are currently employed in other districts who have those employees aren't really happy because they think you're trying to seat their employees, and that's simply not the case. So we're going to the universities, we're working through the ROE, we're making cold calls and calling people who have been interested previously. And again, although this is a state issue, I'm not concerned, and I don't think many of us are. Of course, we're concerned for the districts, but we're concerned about how we can best help our own district.
So I have a question in that regard. Has the district actually gone on campus? You know, I mean, have we gone on campus at those schools that have well-known teaching programs, and they have job fairs? Have we gone in person and done that yet? Is that something that we've done in the past?
I'm gonna answer this on Meg's behalf because she's doesn't
No.
have the historical knowledge. So we have done that in the past, but what oftentimes they're not during the summer because the students aren't there during the summer, which is when we need to hire them. So
No, you
they would,
could-
yeah, they would occur during this time of year. Normally you start seeing a lot of them in September. So as soon as we start getting those notifications, we review them.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. We're all trying to finish the race at the same ending point, but we cannot join the race when it's half over. And if districts are going to these job fairs in September, for the following September, we gotta be there. We have to say, we're great people, look at our literature, et cetera. So I would really appreciate if that could be explored a little bit
Well,
more
it is.
intensively.
Last year
And
we attended 6 external job fairs.
Who did?
We did.
Are they
HR department.
teaching related or non?
They're a variety. I mean, some are teaching, some are like at the
I'd
Chamber
also-
of
But
Commerce.
this is a
great position.
captive audience at the campus level, which it makes it,
Well, I've also Illinois State University is really one of the predominant
yeah.
teacher preparation programs. Dr. Garrett Walbacher is a friend of mine, he's also a professor there, as well as the Dean of Education, and we've had several conversations
Okay.
about talking to candidates to contact our district, or even call us individually, and they're struggling as well in regards to the candidacy of students who are in that major. And so it's difficult. We're not only seeing this on the level of teachers, they're also seeing this in administration and so forth. So it is a problem, and we're gonna continue to work to attract the best that we can.
Okay, so, but my whole take is, the job market is tight, all over, and I've read about creativity that's required. But my point is, let's not make those candidates work to even dial our number. Let's just, even if we go to these job fairs, Dr. Wood, and we have 2 potential very interested students, it's a success. So I think we need to take that extra effort.
Well, like you said, we've been to 6, but the universities aren't another group now.
Okay,
Certainly another avenue.
okay. So thank you, Maggie, thank you.
Need a motion to approve 6.15.
So moved.
Need a second? Ashley?
Worley,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bryant,
Yes.
Maddox,
Yes.
Rewrite,
Yes.
Pitts,
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes. All right, new business, 7-1, 6th grade boys and girls basketball. Dusty?
Thank you all for your time. So back in around 2012, the school district eliminated, a few budget cuts, eliminated some programs, including 6th grade basketball. At that time, YBA came on board and partnered with the school, through some of our resources and some of theirs, to continue to provide those opportunities for our 6th graders, boys and girls basketball. YBA has decided that they are no longer going to have a competitive 6th grade program for either the boys or the girls. And now, and we've been discussing it for a while about bringing this back into our fray, where we can run eligibility, can, hire the coaches, we can make it a true team sport again. And this seems like the perfect opportunity, because there's this void now in the community, and we want to provide an opportunity for these boys and girls to play 6th grade basketball. And so the proposal is that we would run 2 6th grade girls teams and 2 6th grade boys teams, essentially. We would have, and the reason we would do that, and what they had done in the past, is they had an A team and a B team, essentially. And we're playing other schools and teams in the area. What we found was, by playing an A team and a B team, we would play that B game, and the B games were not competitive. And quite honestly, you had extreme blowouts in some games where it wasn't good for either team to be associated with a game like that. So the strategy moving forward is that we would want to have 16 kids in each program, the boys program and the girls program, and we would split those up evenly into 2 teams of 8. One of the opportunities is we can take school vans instead of a bus and save some expenses that way. But then we would schedule 2 independent A-team schedules, so both those teams would play against other schools' A teams to provide a lot of competition and a lot of opportunities for everybody to play. And I think that's really why we value this so much, is because we want to provide an opportunity for everybody to play. And quite honestly, there's a couple good independent teams out there that are playing games, but we want all of our 6th graders to have an opportunity, and the best way for us to provide that opportunity is to do it through the school. So that's why we're doing this.
Do you have some numbers on what this costs?
Yeah, we do have some numbers. And Susan, so you know, I've discussed it with Charlotte, and Charlotte has it under her umbrella of things that she can afford in the budget.
Yeah, no, I know, basically, that's good. I mean, because
Yeah.
obviously you knew I was gonna ask you that.
Absolutely. I would expect nothing less.
And, but why don't you just run through
Okay.
your numbers?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think it was very well prepared.
Absolutely.
You don't have to go in too much detail.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
But, I mean, you have a nice summary discussion on the last about the total cost estimates. Maybe you just wanna drop right down there and.
Yeah,
sort of
I'll touch on one thing, coaches, and the way we came to that scale was because we do have, on volleyball, we do have a 8th, 7th, and 6th grade teams, and so we found it appropriate, because the seasons are similar in length of games, that they be kept to the same scale as we did with 6th grade volleyball. So that's why we chose that scale.
Yep.
So if you look down at the bottom, the coaches' salaries, you know, because it is a scale, the more experience the coach, the less it would cost for coaches. So we are looking to hire 2 coaches for both the boys and 2 coaches for the girls programs. Uniforms on a rotation once every 4 years. It so happens with this year's rotation, that uniform budget fits into our uniform budget rotation for this year. So it's another one of those good opportunities. Equipment, that's the total for both the boys and the girls programs. And that, and again, just to highlight, it equates, it's equal to what a volleyball for 3 levels would be as well. Obviously, we have to pay for officials, and the transportation is minimal because instead of buses with teams of 8, we can take vans.
There's a list of possible opponents. Can I presume that each of those schools has a 6th grade school program?
And these are schools that we've been playing and we've done contracts with in the past. And, you know, we've been in touch with them saying this is a possibility moving forward.
When you say we've been playing, you mean through the YBA program?
So the way the YBA program was, we were doing their scheduling still. And so we were contracting with these schools. And then last year they did their own scheduling and then obviously this year.
My question is, these other schools have made a commitment to provide the funding for 6th grade programs, correct?
Yes, I believe Clinton has, since after I made this list, Clinton has dropped with, yes, they're making the effort to provide 6th grade.
But some of the other CSA schools like Jacksonville, Rochester.
Well, Jacksonville's up there, Rochester's up there. Yeah, definitely. Taylorville, Williamsville, Pleasant Plains, all are programs. Mount Zion is a youth program, not a school program.
What was the participation in the 6th grade recreational program? Like how many?
I want to say, I don't have the specific number, but I want to say they have 15 on each team. 15?
For girls, that was correct.
Yeah, I think it's 15 for each team.
Nice. So how many teams were there?
They did, well, they did 15 kids and then they did red and white. So they did an A and a B.
Okay.
So we're looking at 16 kids and then.
So are we looking at a total of, what's in it, 18? How many kids was this?
16 kids, 18 uniforms.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right, okay.
So there are currently a total of 15 kids.
Well, I think this would be from 2 years ago. I believe when my son was a 6th grader, they took 20 boys and had 2 teams of 10, and the kids floated between those 2 teams as the season went. So I believe it was at least 2 years ago they took 20 boys. I can't speak to maybe the girls was different, maybe they took more, I don't know.
And is the only reason, I read in here that one reason to limit the teams to 8 was so you could haul them around in a van instead of a bus?
Well, that's one reason, but the other reason is because we are gonna have some shared practice time because of facilities. And so there's gonna be a lot of times where you have all 16 kids in the gym at the same time. And the other reason is we want to give kids an opportunity to play and not sit the bench. And we think 8 is a good number for that, so kids are getting a lot of time on the course.
I would add, once they get to 7th grade, there'll only be 1 team, and that team will be 15 individuals.
I just had fond memories of playing 6th grade basketball for the school team. And I mean, I met the guy who was the best man at my wedding was someone I met playing 6th grade basketball. So important for me.
So I'm just trying to clarify all of these numbers that you're throwing out, not throwing out, providing. In response, okay, so YDA had 2 teams of 10, so that was 20 boys that YDA, had under its umbrella. And so now what you're suggesting is 2 boys teams, 2 girls teams, and the total number of kids for the boys on those 2 teams would be
16.
the total, so it would be 2
8
teams of 8.
Yes.
Okay, and now, okay, so that makes it 16. And in response to Brandon's question, you think the intramural numbers are 15?
Again, I have to go back and ask YBA these sure, but I believe they were 15 last year.
What, 15 last year, okay.
And the reason I turned and asked Christine is she has a kid in that age group.
Okay,
Well,
that's good.
I think it'd be important to add too, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dusty, but YBA still offers a recreational opportunity through 8th grade, correct? They haven't planned to change that as far as we know.
So I guess that means that, the assumption is then maybe there'll be more recreational opportunities for the boys and girls through YBA, because some of them will be coming to the 6th grade program sponsored by the district. Is that a fair statement? Are they gonna do both, is my question.
They could because they don't overlap.
They could do both. Okay.
And then if we have recreational opportunities for all the kids up through 8th grade, are there, I guess there's a lot of other schools that have 6th grade programs, and that's why there's an interest in bringing back, because in the GIS building, we have 2 grade levels. One grade level is gonna have a basketball team, one grade level is not gonna have a basketball team. Is that awkward? I don't know, I'm not the sports guy, so I'm just asking.
Essentially, they've had a 6th grade basketball team, it's just been run by the YBA, but it's been kind of a pseudo program ever since the school dropped it, where they've still partnered with us. We've helped them with schedules, we've done with uniforms. So
YBA historically has a quote-unquote competitive team at every grade level, in addition to their rec teams at every grade level. So there was a 5th grade YBA competitive team last year, and I believe that'll still be, I don't know what YBA's plans are in terms of the younger kids. My understanding is that the only thing changing for them is the specific 6th grade class.
My only question about the budget is you presented 2 different cost estimates, one in the $12,000 range and one in the $19,000 range. If we were to approve this, how do we know which number we're approving? And I guess maybe we can make that decision?
That's just a range, it's based on the experience.
So I
If you
took
have
an
someone
average.
so if someone comes in and they're brand new, they're gonna be at the lower end of the scale. Someone with experience, so it's, you really can't say until you hire the coaches.
I took an average of 15,550.
This just one, maybe this will help as well. Prior to this program being expanded, was it a popular program?
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
heavy numbers?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I think that's why it stayed active, because it is a top league.
So frankly, I'm just going to I need to express my concern so that, so when the vote comes, that you know, Dusty, why I have concerns.
Okay.
My difficulty is that I know it's in your budget, and that there's 15, that it's in the budget. It's $15,000, I took an average. My problem is, we set up this team of, 2 teams of 8. But there's no guarantee that these kids are then going to also be members of the YDA recreational program. So I'm asking myself, well, if that's the case, how is the district sponsorship of this program now helping all the other kids who just want to play recreational?
Well, nothing changed from when IDA ran it. Their team, their 20 kids on their competitive team had the option to play rec, but they were not required to.
Yep, I
So-
know,
so
but we didn't
nothing
pay
changes.
15K. We didn't pay 15K, right?
Correct.
By being a school team, you also have an athletic fee, so these kids will have to pay an athletic fee. And if it's the first sport they play, which for a lot of 6th graders it would be, that is $100
I mean, the way I look at this is someone has to fill this void for this class, both boys and girls. If we choose not to take action, here's a class of students that don't get the opportunity to play competitive sports for their school. This was one of those items that YBA was gracious enough to take on several years ago, and I think it's a reasonable request on their behalf to, they covered that gap for us.
I don't have a problem with it either way, honestly. I'm just, as a devil's advocate, I know competitive sports to me versus rec sports and the need and or the necessity for the district to cover it is kind of where I'm on the fence. I mean, aren't there a lot of other competitive teams out there where they get their own funding? The
Well, I
program
think-
we had with the YBA, although the YBA ran it, it wasn't a school-sponsored team. They weren't playing for our school.
They, I mean,
It was it was
We-
quasi at best.
Well, I think some of the opportunities you have here, one, you can reach out to every kid that is a student at Glen Intermediate School. Whereas some of the YBAs, some of the other competitive teams that are not school affiliated, depending on their level of communication, there are kids that may not get that information, may not have that opportunity to participate. And this gives every kid equal playing ground in order to have a chance to come in and try and participate. The other thing is we run eligibility. And so, we have a chance to hire coaches, evaluate coaches, run eligibility. Kids that are involved on those early release days can go to those athletic study tables. Some of those opportunities that we can tie the educational side of athletics into this, where when it's not our program, we don't have that reach.
Well, and we talked about the educational part last time. I think we kind of need to up that up a notch a little on eligibilities. We're at 1.7. I think we talked about that last time, right? GPA.
Semester GPA, which is.
1.7.
Yeah. So I think if we're gonna tie the educational to it, I also would like to see us encourage our athletes to improve that aspect of them.
I would say there's an imprimatur that goes along with having a school-sponsored team. I see these other schools who are evidently funding their sixth grade programs. I mean, again, for me, it was probably the first time in playing a sport where somebody's dad wasn't coaching me. There was a teacher, and so I learned a lot. Just, again, first time being part of an official school team. So I was kind of stunned to learn that Glenwood, which is a pretty large school, didn't have a sixth grade basketball program when, especially when a lot of these other schools do. So, I mean, I'm in favor of having the program. I mean, we may want to set limits on the budget, but I think we should have a program. I would encourage, if you think that limiting the teams to 8 kids is I'm a little concerned about if that number may be too restrictive for letting kids participate, but I understand there may be some budgetary reasons for doing that. I'd like to see, as many kids as possible have the opportunity to participate.
Well, at the end of the day, this proposal with these numbers was a shared conversation with all of my basketball coaches, my head varsity boys and girls coaches, and my eighth grade coaches.
I think I'd only add that I think there were some, at least in my mind, some issues in the past with this kind of quasi-control between, the school kind of supporting YBA in the sixth grade basketball program, and yet it being a YBA team. And so I actually support the notion that this would come under the school's umbrella. So those lines of division are very clear. I'm happy to see that.
And I also think it brings the entire school population, all the sixth graders together, gives them the opportunity to support the kids that are playing for the school, and more opportunity to participate, whether it be on the team or supporting the team. I had a couple girls that were on the YBA team, and they felt like they were playing for the school when they really weren't, because they were wearing equipment uniforms. So I think a school-sponsored sport gives the entire class at least the opportunity to participate in a school sport.
Does anyone have any further discussion points or questions or comments for Dusty?
Well, I do want to bring up what Brandon said. I think the GPA should be held into account with that as well. That there should be some limits academically that are tied to being on the school team.
And that's on a much broader scale, applicable to all as opposed to just this.
I support the idea for only one reason. At least they may be away from the screen for 1 or 2 hours.
That's true.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the formation of the 6th grade boys and girls basketball team.
So moved.
Need a second. Ashley?
Bryant.
Yes.
Phipps.
Yes.
Worley. Abstain. Rush.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dusty. All right, 8-1, fiscal year 19 tentative budget presentation.
I'll let you put it up and then I'll.
I'd like to say one thing. I've been coming up here since 2016, and I like to do this so that I'm seeing what you guys are seeing, but I can't, and that makes it really hard for me to look at numbers, but I've got them here, so I've come prepared. So I want to present the budget, and many of you have seen this slide over and over again. This will be the last year you will see this slide. It's very good news for us, and for those new board members, I just want to point out a few things. If you look at 2015 and you look at the ending fund balance of 3.2 million, the early taxes that were received in May and June that were met for the next school year, what the district did was spent over 7 million of that 10, which was totally unsustainable. When I came in March of 2016, Russ Clover and Doug had already started making changes to some of the purchasing concepts that the district had in previous years. We continue trying to find those efficiencies, and you can see what's happened. We really benefited in 2018 from early taxes, and that's why that went from 3.2 million in a deficit to 653,000 in a deficit. And had I been reporting on an accrual basis at the end of this year, you would have shown a surplus of $1.3 million. So I can safely say that unless something traumatic happens, like a property tax freeze, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen, we won't be spending those early tax dollars anymore in the coming years, and those monies truly will be targeted and used in the year for which they were intended. So I'm really happy about that. You won't see this slide again. And so let's look at the budget methodology. It's very conservative in nature. The revenues are estimated low, expenditures are estimated high. The Ed Fund, O&M, and transportation are virtually at break even for the year. And striking a balance between those revenues and expenditures within the funds and numerous competing priorities is kind of a daunting task. But I was gonna say those are my building blocks for a budget, but I couldn't find, I use stones instead, I guess I just wanted to be different. So when we look then at the budget priorities for FY20, we want to add teachers as they're needed and provide the professional development opportunities for them. Maintain and expand successful educational programs and opportunities for our students. Continue to evaluate and revise the curricula. Continue to build capacity throughout the district. Maximize investment opportunities. Maintain fiscal stability. So if we look at a snapshot of a few of the projects that this year's budget encompasses, we have the completion of the GIS STEAM lab, the GIS parking lot upgrade, traffic relief bus lane behind GIS and GMS, GHS band uniforms, the BES playground equipment, curriculum adoption and resource materials, security cameras throughout the district, and added staff. Let's take a look at the revenues, and before I go any further, I want to thank the one person who helped make these slides so pretty, and that's Jim Lovelace. Thank you. He came over one day and I was working on this presentation and he said, do you want to make that look prettier? And I'm like, yeah. Because as you might remember from last year, they looked pretty not this way. So thank you, Jim. I might have to put in an appointment now for next year, because I don't know that I'm going to remember next year how you did that, although you did an amazing job. So for our revenues, the largest source of that is 71%. That's coming from property taxes, and that's our levy. The evidence-based funding formula makes up 15% of our revenues. Local, which is registration fees, food sales, for example, is 6%. Other state monies, which are grants and our claims for food and transportation, make up 3%, and federal revenues make up 5%. And I just want to point out, in the evidence-based funding formula, which if you read what's out there in the newspapers, they make it sound like everybody's getting so much more than they ever did before. But in FY18, when we were getting general state aid, that was at 14% of our revenues, and our other state aid was at 5%. But what they did when they created the evidence-based funding formula was they got rid of 2 of the categoricals. Sorry, did I go backwards? I did, sorry. That's my hand starting to shake. I guess I won't touch that for a moment. And so what they did was they took away 2 of those categoricals, but the evidence-based funding formula percentage didn't go up 2%. It only went up 1%. So that's not really keeping pace with what our anticipation was of what evidence-based funding will do. It's like they give it to you in one hand and take it out of the other. So our expenditures, and I want to look at those, the funds, and how do those funds rank against each other, is the ed fund is always going to take up the lion's share, just because that's what we're about. And it's at 70.3%. The debt service fund is at 10.1% of the expenditures. O&M is at 8.6%. The excess bonds are at 1.1%. Transportation is 4.2%. IMRF and Social Security is 2.8%. I'm glad you didn't see that because it did something here. Never mind. The capital fund, which is going to be the new capital projects from our sales tax, is going to be at 1.1%. And the safety fund, Fund 90, is at 1%. They got me back. And so how are those expenditures made? What are we spending our money on? And so when we look at those object types, 50.9% of that is on salary and wages. Other category, and that's primarily our debt payments, is at 16%. Benefits is 13.7%. Materials and supplies are 8.3%. Purchase services 6%. And capital expenditures is 4.7%. I'd like to point out salary and wages in FY18 was at 48.7. It's at 50.9 now. And I think that shows that we are adding staff. That's one of the goals of ours, has been to add staff when we know they're needed, not just teachers, but in other areas of the district as well. So this is kind of a high-level executive summary of all the different funds and the beginning balances, the anticipated revenues, anticipated expenditures, and then the balances. And as you can see, they are going to be break even except for those areas like where we're spending down the excess bonds or where we're spending down our safety funds, because we're no longer going to plow money into that fund. They make you jump through so many hoops to be able to access it. That makes more sense to have it up in our operations and maintenance. But our goal is to, when I create a budget, I should say my goal is to create break-even budgets because I would rather see us be able to use those monies as they're needed by the schools and by the departments, rather than continuing to build our fund balances, because I think we're in a very solid financial position. So I want to talk about the operating funds. And ISB looks at the ed fund, O&M, transportation, working cash. They put a lot of emphasis on those funds, and those operating funds are what's used in a formula to create our financial profile. Our financial profile, in a nutshell, this kind of gives you where we've been, where we're at. We're at 3.9. The highest you can get is 4.0.
We actually scored 4.0 on all the different categories, and the categories are things like the number of days cash on hand, what's your expenditure to revenue ratio, the fund balances to revenue ratio, the percent of short-term borrowing. We got 4% on every single one of those. We got a 3% on the percentage of our long-term debt, but we're working on that. We're gonna be improving that. I guess I'm giving this information now because I don't know that 2019 is gonna show a 4.0, but maybe we're getting there because we aren't entering into any more long-term debt instruments. As a matter of fact, I think we're gonna be reducing that long-term debt. And I'm not gonna talk more about that. That'll be a topic for the September board meeting. But because we look so much better than we did, when Standard & Poor's came in and they reevaluated us, they changed our bond rating and improved it. And so I think that when we refinance some bonds, if the board chooses to do that, they become callable in February. Right now, we're paying 4% on some of those, and we could really slash that interest rate probably in half. And so in doing that, that might get to be 4, who knows, but the district looks really good. And so are there any questions?
Charlotte, can you go back to the very first slide for me?
I will try that. Jeez, okay, so it takes a little longer when you do it this way.
So I'm just gonna make a quick comment. This goes back to your second to last slide. I just want folks to take note of those 2013 through 2015 years and the trajectory things appeared to be heading in that 3-year period of time versus the trajectory we are on since then. That's not a small task to make that turnaround, and I appreciate everyone in the district's hard work in doing so. It took everybody in the district to accomplish it, and I'd just like to thank you all for having worked hard and done that.
That is very true. I mean, because all the department heads, the principals, the teachers, the staff, everyone has really made an effort, not just in not spending the money, but also giving us ideas on how some things could be done better, more efficiently. And so we're always open to those suggestions. So if any of you have more ideas of how we can save more money or do things more efficiently, please let us know. But yeah, it's really been a total district effort to get us where we are right now. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Go.
I think we need a motion to approve. Need a second?
Second.
Ashley?
This.
Oh, I'm sorry. We don't need a vote on 8-1. 8-2, set a hearing date
Sorry,
for
tried.
fiscal year 20.
So this board meeting is when you would establish next month an open session to have a public hearing on the budget. The budget will be available for public inspection starting tomorrow here at the district office. Gives the public the opportunity to come and look at it. It's about a half-inch thick, but they're more than welcome to come and look at it. And next month, then that gives them the opportunity to bring any questions that they might have prior to the board's formal adoption of the FY20 budget.
Move to approve the hearing date.
Second?
As recommended. Second.
Ashley?
Betts.
Yes.
Duderex.
Yes.
Maddox. Barry.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes.
Bryant.
Yes.
And Brewer.
Yes. Section 9, communications, future board meeting dates. Yeah.
The only thing I'd add to this is that the actual date of the finance committee meeting was missing on just the handouts. I just want to make sure that's clear when that date.
We, this is not up there right now, but we need to be thinking about November.
Oh, see, it's in there. Was that
We-
an old version?
We have, I believe the tentative November date is the second of the two meetings, not the one for curriculum, but it's November 21st. We're probably going to need to adjust that November 21st meeting date. The reason for that is up right against the ISB conference. So, Doug, did you have a date in mind?
Well, November 19th is the Tuesday before that. That's, seems like a day that would work.
Now, we can put that on next month's agenda to set that date, but just, does anyone have any objections to the 19th calendar-wise being problematic for you?
I would like to note that I need 30 days between that board meeting and the one in December, because we have to allow 30 days between when the levy's introduced and when the board approves it.
Well, we're moving it sooner.
So I'll be fine with that.
yeah.
I just wanted to put that out there in
Yeah,
case
that
the
opens it
idea
up.
came to make it later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any problems with that day? If there are, please send an email out. We'll-
Okay, so that would be Tuesday the 19th. Okay.
Okay, 9.2, citizens' opportunity and visitors to address the school board concerning any topic. Okay. See no takers, Doug?
Yeah, I just, last month was summer, and so we didn't do it at that time. But we did want to take an opportunity to recognize our new Director of Special Education. And that is, if you could stand, this is Maggie Kuykendall. And so she's the new Director of Special Education.
All right, need a motion to adjourn. Need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So I'm glad you felt. You can't go to these things.